What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Moldovan national arrested in Veligama with a stock of suspicious chemicals. Sampath Manamperi brought to the Western Province North Crimes Division. Questioned for over 4 hours. President Dissanayake to travel to the US tomorrow. UNP emphasizes that all parties agree on the need to act together in the face of challenges. Even if thieves unite, the people's power cannot be defeated. National People's Power responds. Smoke still emitting from the burnt building in Peta. Fire suspected to have been caused by an electrical leak. President Trump's $100,000 fee limiting the H-1B visa, which opened doors to US jobs for professionals worldwide, comes into effect today.
Starting off with news here at home, a foreign national was arrested in Salmal Uyana Veligama with a stock of suspicious chemical substances in his possession.
The Veligama police conducted a raid at around 10 a.m. today, resulting in the arrest of a Moldovan national in possession of a stock of suspicious chemical substances. The suspect had been residing at a rented house in the area. The purpose for which the chemicals were intended has not yet been determined. The seized substances are to be submitted to the government analyst for further examination.
Sampath Manamperi, who is in custody of the Police Narcotics Bureau, was brought to the Western Province North Crimes Division today. This was in question with him to the incident where substances containing the drug ice were found buried in a land belonging to him in Midenia.
According to police, Sampath Manamperi, who was brought to the Western Province North Crimes Division, was questioned for over 4 hours. This comes after the government analyst and the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board recently confirmed that the substances found buried on land in Midenia and in its vicinity contained methamphetamine, commonly known as the drug ice. Meanwhile, Kehelbadra Padme and Bako Saman, 2 organized criminals currently in police custody, were also extensively questioned yesterday. Police said the suspects, who are in the custody of the Criminal Investigation Department, were brought to the Western Province North Crimes Division for questioning under special permission from the Inspector General of Police.
Deputy Minister of Transport and Highways, Dr. Prasanna Gunasekara, said that all necessary measures have now been taken to ensure the rule of law is upheld and financial transparency is ensured.
We have upheld the rule of law. We have taken all necessary measures to ensure financial transparency. Due to this, a public discourse has emerged where various allegations are being made based on the assets and liability declaration of our ministers, parliamentarians and other representatives. In the entire political history of this country, have there ever been instances where the assets and liabilities of the people's representatives were openly discussed in public? No. We have created that opportunity. Personally, we have financial discipline amongst ourselves. We have financial discipline within our party. As a government, we must also maintain financial discipline.
The Deputy Minister made these remarks while speaking at the closing ceremony of the Local Government Week at the Haris Pathur Divisional Secretariat, held under the theme Punarodaye Puravara. This event, held today, was chaired by Deputy Minister of Transport and Highways, Dr. Prasanna Gunasekara.
The United National Party stresses that all party representatives who took part in its 79th anniversary celebrations share the view that unity is essential to face the current challenges. The UNP issued a special statement to mark this occasion.
The statement notes that political parties' representatives who attended the anniversary celebrations highlighted the importance of safeguarding the country's multi-party system. The United National Party affirmed that this is also its stance, stressing the need to unite against present and future threats of constitutional authoritarianism. The statement further emphasized that everyone must remain committed to the consensus reached at the UNP anniversary celebration. New Democratic Front parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake said today that the aim is to reunite, quote-unquote, the divided elephant. He made these comments before attending the event to establish the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's Gampaha district organisations and its affiliated groups. SLFP chairman Nimal Siripala De Silva, treasurer Lasantha Aligiyawanna and several other members were present at the event. However, media was not allowed to cover the event.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ සංවත්සරයට ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයෙන් මට නිමල් සිරිපාල සිල්වා මැතිතුමාට ආරාධනා කළා. කතාවක් මට තිබ්බා. එකට යන්න ඕන ගමනක් හින්දා අපි ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා යන ගමනක ආරම්භයක් තමයි. ඒතර එකට යන ගමනේ කවුද නායකත්වයෙන් දරන්නේ? ඒක නායකව කවුරුහරි හොයා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉස්සල්ලා ගමන එකතු කරගෙන ඉමුකෝ. පොදු විපක්ෂයක් හැටියට ඔබතුමාලා එකතු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒක එකතු වෙයි එකතු වෙලා යයි ගමන යයි. මේ ඕගොල්ලෝගේ හදිසියට මාධ්‍ය හදිසියට මේ එකපාර මේ එකතු වෙලා නායකව හදලා ආණ්ඩු පිටවන්න බෑ. ඔබතුමා බස් එකේ යන කතාවක් කිව්වා. බස් එකේ ඉඩ නැහැ කියලා. අපිට මෙහෙමයි අපිට බස් එකේ ඉඩ නැතුව හරි එළියේ ඉන්න පුළුවන් නැගලා ඉන්න පුළුවන් එකතු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි එකතු වෙන මිනිස්සු එකතු වෙලා ආණ්ඩු හදනවා නම් මේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීට විරුද්ධව මේ ගෙනියන වැඩ පිළිවෙලට ඕන කෙනෙක් එකතු වෙලා හදපු දෙන් ආණ්ඩු. අපි ආණ්ඩු හදන ඒවාට අපි කියන්නේ එකතු වෙන්න ඒගොල්ලොන්ට. අපි එකතු කරගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා ආලියා එකතු වෙන්න එපා. ආලියා දෙකට කැඩිච්ච එක ආලියා එකතු කරන්න අපි බලන්න.
SLFP treasurer Lasantha Aligiyawanna said that future alliances should be formed through a leadership council.
විපක්ෂයේ සිටින බොහෝ දේශපාලන පක්ෂ සමග අපි එක්ව කටයුතු කිරීම තමයි මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ අපේක්ෂාව බවට පත් වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ අනුව ජනතාවගේ අපේක්ෂාවන් සෑම අවස්ථාවකම අපේ පක්ෂය අපි ඉටු කරලා තිබෙනවා කාලීන අවශ්‍යතාවයන් හඳුනාගෙන. ඒ අනුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය සඳහා අවශ්‍ය ඒ නායකත්වය ලබා දෙනවා. දැන් ඉදිරියේදී මොන පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයට දැන් අපි දැක්කා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ සංවත්සරයට බොහෝ විපක්ෂයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් ගිහිල්ලා ගියා. මේ වෙලාවේ විශේෂයෙන්ම මොන පක්ෂයක්ද කවුද නායකයා කියන එක නෙමෙයි අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ. රටේ අවශ්‍යතාවය. ඒ අනුව සෑම දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක්ම විශේෂයෙන්ම ඒ දේශපාලන පක්ෂවල නායකින්ගෙන් සැදුම්ලත් ඒ නායකත්ව මණ්ඩලයක් විසින් සමා මම හිතන්නේ ඉදිරියේදී සම්දාන සියල්ලක්ම ඇති විය යුතු වන්නේ. කවුරුවත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂ විසිරවා හැරලා තවත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂයකට සම්බන්ධ වීමක් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Tuminda Disanayake, says that if a coalition government is formed in the future, the SLFP should be ready to take its leadership.
If the current government falls, there needs to be a team ready to take over. We might form a coalition government in the future with various groups uniting. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party must be ready to take the leadership of that coalition. We shouldn't just join in when someone else is forming a government. The future government should once again be a coalition government led by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The issue isn't who we are uniting with. We are ready to make this country rise when it falls. We are ready to take the leadership for that. If we are to lift this country, we must be the ones to lead. We don't need to go searching for leaders.
Samagi Janabalawege MP Harshana Rajakaruna said that although Ranil Wickremesinghe was felicitated at the party's anniversary, in the upcoming presidential election, everyone will unite under the leadership of Sajith Premadasa.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ සංවත්සරය තිබ්බේ.
Yesterday was the anniversary of the United National Party. During the event, it wasn't possible to push for a president from another party, so all the attention and tributes were directed at the UNP leader. Looking ahead at the next presidential election, we believe that under the leadership of Samagi Janabalawege leader Sajith Premadasa, all parties can come together and work collaboratively with the support of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Saying thieves are joining forces doesn't achieve anything. If wrongdoing exists, it must be dealt with through the law. The United National Party should unite with other right-wing groups to move forward.
මේ දක්ෂිණාන්ත කඳවුර එකතු වීමක් සිදු විය යුතුමයි.
Samagi Janabalawege parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman says there is no intention to form a political alliance by uniting all the parties that gathered at the United National Party convention.
I never said that the government would fall. What's happening now are discussions being held under the leadership of the opposition leader aimed at exploring the possibility of the Samagi Jana Balawegya working together with the United National Party. I believe that a final decision on this matter will be made in the near future. This is not an attempt to launch a new political movement. We are working to prevent the government's attempts to hunt down members of the opposition, protect democracy in the country, and to ensure that the promises the government made to the people are kept.
The Frontline Socialist Party offered their opinion on the political parties that attended the United National Party anniversary yesterday and the importance they placed on working under the leadership of Ranil Wickremesinghe.
On one hand, we are happy. Why are we happy? Because now everyone has boarded the same boat, including the snakes and the mongoose. They have publicly shown this. I saw Dayasiri Jayasekara in his speech saying, when they are trying to sabotage us, we have to now unite. So now it's very clear, they are uniting as a class. Ranil, who once said that half of his heart is not working, now has the strength to speak big and give big speeches at the convention. It's a shame.
National People's Power MP Devananda Suravira shared his views during a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Yesterday, all the traitorous forces that have long been responsible for destroying this country gathered under one roof at the UNP's anniversary celebration. And what did they say when they came together? Chamara Sampath spoke about Ranil Wickremesinghe. It's no secret in this country that Ranil Wickremesinghe was responsible for sending 60,000 patriotic citizens who love this land into the shadows of death. The most glaring example of this is the Batalanda torture chambers, a topic that has resurfaced in recent public discourse. And now, even Chamara Sampath is standing on the UNP stage and calling Ranil a murderer. That is one matter. On the other hand, what did the opportunistic politicians like former Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara, who crept into various political parties to destroy the country, say? They too said that the future is dangerous for them with the National People's Power. Why are they feeling this fear? That is because theft and fraud is no longer be tolerated and the twisted system they relied on is collapsing. They are now openly admitting that their political future is in danger. And that's why they are desperately uniting, not out of principle, but out of fear of National People's Power. And so, the groups that were once enemies are uniting. We are not worried, because the people are uniting with the National People's Power with every passing day. We are not accountable to corrupt politicians who come from a rogue political culture. We are accountable only to the beloved people of this country, and it is their future we are determined to build.
අපි වග කියන්නේ මේ රටේ ආදරණීය ජනතාවට ඒ මිනිසුන්ගේ ජීවිත ලස්සන ගන්න අපි ගමන අපි යමින් ඉන්නවා.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
The shifting reality of politics then and now. Political reality in our country is a subject of much debate, and today we turn our attention to the stark contrasts between the past and the present.
මේ රටේ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයටත් ආණ්ඩුවට සහයෝගය දෙන අයටත් රිසීසේ හොරකම් කරන්න දුන්න නායකයෙක් තමයි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා. ඉතින් අපි කොහොමද ගිහිල්ලා තවදුරටත් එතුමත් එක්ක මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්නේ? එතුමත් එක්ක ඔය හිටගෙන ඉන්න සියලු දෙනාම පොට්ටුවත් එක්ක ඉඳගෙන රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාව පට්ට ගහපු මිනිස්සු. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා බැංකු හොරා මහා බැංකු හොරා කියලා කතා කරපු අය. ඒසට අහන්න ඒ අයගෙන් ඇඳුමක් ඇඳගෙන ගිහිල්ලා ඉන්නේ.
එදා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමාට හෙට අනිද්දා වෙනකොට අනික් කටියට මේක එනවා. මේ මොකද්ද මේ කරන්නේ? ඒ නිසා මතක තියාගන්න අපි මේ එකතු වුණේ ව්‍යවස්ථාපිත ඒකාධිපතිවාදයට විරුද්ධව. මතක තියාගන්න මේක මෙතනින් නතර කරන්න අපිට බෑ. අපේ මේ එකමුතුව ඊළඟ ආණ්ඩුවක් හදන තැනකට මේක තල්ලු කරන කල් අපි අරගෙන යන්න ඕනේ කියලා මම තව උන්වහන්සේට කියනවා. අපි ඔක්කොම දංගෙඩියට යන එක නතර කරන්න සියලු දෙනා එකතු වෙන්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න කියලා අපි ආදරෙන් මතක් කරන්න කැමතියි.
එහෙමනම් ඔය අලුත් සන්දානේ ඇවිල්ලා ඉංග්‍රීසි කියවනක් තියෙනවා අලුත් බෝතලයක පරණ වයින් දානවා කියලා. එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය හදන අලුත් සන්දානේ කිසිම නැවුම්භාවයක් නැහැ. පරණ හිටිය මේ රට කාපු අනාගතයේ රට කණ්ඩ කෙලහලන දේශපාලකයෝ ටිකයි රාජ්‍යනෝන සංවිධාන ටිකයි ඒ අයව අල්ලේ නටවන ඇමරිකාව සහ යුරෝපය විතරමයි ওই සන්දාන තුල ඉන්නේ. අලුත් කිසි කෙනෙක් ඕකේ නැහැ.
තාවම මට අත තිබ්බේ නෑ නේ කියලා ඔබ නිහඬව හිටියොත් ඔබට අත තිවන දවසට ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් හඬක් නගන්නට කිසිවෙක් මේ රටේ ඉතිරි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අද අපට ඇත්තේ එකම එක විසඳුමයි සියලු වාද ભેද පසෙක තබා අපි සමග වීමයි. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමනි ඔබතුමාලා අපි පුංචි ඡන්දෙට කලින් විපක්ෂයේ දෙවන්ත සන්දානයක් ගොඩනගන්න ලොකු උත්සාහයක් දැරුවා. නමුත් ඒක සාර්ථක වුණේ නැහැ. නමුත් ඔබතුමා එළියේ ඉඳන් දරපු ඒ උත්සාහය අසාර්ථක වුණත් ඔබතුමා ඇතුළට ගින් පැය ගාණක් ඇතුළත මුළු විපක්ෂයම සමගි වුණා.
මේ දවස්වල රනිල්ට බනින්නේ කවුද? මහින්ද මහත්තයාද? ගෝඨාභයද? නෑ. මෛත්‍රී බාලසිරිසේන. අපේ නායකයනේ රනිල්ට බනින්නේ. අපේ ආමුදුර රනිල්ගේ දේශපාලනේ නැති කරන්නේ කවුද? අපි. ඩිලාම් පෙරේරා SB දිසානායකයි. ඒගොල්ලෝ අපිට කියන මේ එන්න. එයාලා කියන වෙලාවට අපි යන්න සූදානම් නැහැ. එයා ඒ දෙන්න ගිහිල්ලා එතන ක්ලීනින් සර්විස් කරාට මම මේ පක්ෂයට නෙවෙයි ආදරය කරේ රනිල්ට. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහට ආදරය කළා තමයි මම මේ පක්ෂයට වැඩ කරන්න ආවේ. වැඩකාරෝ ටික මෙතන ඉන්නේ. මෙතන ඉන්නේ කට්ටිය එකතු කරලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න පුළුවන් එකම නායකයා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා විතරයි. නැවත එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයක් හැටියට මේ රට ගොඩනගන්න සියලු දෙනාට ශක්තිය ධෛර්යය ලැබෙන්න ඕන කියලා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට ජය වේවා. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාට ජය වේවා කියලා මම නියනවා.
New Democratic Front MP Rohita Abegunawardena says that he aims to unite everyone in order to shape the political future of Nama Rajapaksa.
A group including former President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited Rohita Abegunawardena's residence in Payagala today to wish him on his birthday.
හදවතේ ජනාධිපතිතුමන්ට අපේ නායකයාට
මේ ආණ්ඩුවට අවුරුද්දක් වෙනවා මොකද ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ?
ආණ්ඩුවේදී මොකද පාණ්ඩුව වෙලා.
රජයේ තත්ත්වය සංවර්ධන කටයුත්ත.
කිය වැඩක් කෙරෙන්නේ නැහැ නේද?
මාව අකණ්ඩව පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ. අන්නේ ජනතාව එක්ක තමයි මම උපන්දිනේ සමරන්නේ. මට පුළුවන් විදිහට වත් කටක් හදලා ඒගොල්ලෝ කණ එක දිහා බලන්න හඳුන්වනවා. හැබැයි මගේ දේශපාලන നായකයා මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමා හැම සැරේම වරද්දන්න නැතුව වෙනවා.
අපි හිතුව අපිට පක්ෂයේ සුබපැතීමක් හම්බෙයි කියලා. පෝට්ටුවේ ඒක මොකද උනේ?
මම පෝට්ටුවේ අර ගිහිල්ලත් නැහැ පෝට්ටුවේ මාව අර ගිහිල්ලත් නැහැ. ඒක හැමෝම තියෙනවා. මේ ඉන්න ඔක්කොම පෝට්ටුවේ. ආමල් රාජපක්ෂගේ අනාගතය හදන්න මට ඕන කරන මේනේ සියලු දෙනා මේ හැරගිය ඔක්කොම වෙච්ච විසිරිච්ච සුකුම එකතු වෙන්න ඕන. අන්න එකතු වීම කරාම අනාගතයේ සෝවාන් වෙනවා.
President Anura Kumar Dissanayake will leave for the United States tomorrow to attend the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly.
The President is scheduled to depart from the island tomorrow afternoon. He will address the United Nations General Assembly on Wednesday at 3:15 p.m. US time. During this visit, President Anura Kumar Dissanayake is also scheduled to hold bilateral discussions with the Secretary General of the United Nations and several world leaders. The President will also attend a meeting with Sri Lankans residing in the United States. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijitha Herath will also join President Anura Kumar Dissanayake on this tour.
Newsfirst with the people.
Still in local news, police suspect that an electrical fault may have caused the fire that broke out yesterday in a multi-story building along First Cross Street in Peta. The blaze, which damaged around 30 shops, was contained after a 12-hour operation.
The blaze broke out in the building at approximately 4 p.m. yesterday. The fire, which broke out on the 4th floor of a shop selling electrical appliances and mobile phones, quickly spread to a nearby building. Over 20 fire trucks and a Bell 212 aircraft from the Sri Lanka Air Force were deployed to help control the blaze. The Sri Lankan Navy, Air Force, Police and Port Fire Brigade worked together with a total of 75 fighters involved in a continuous 12-hour operation to fully extinguish the fire. No casualties or injuries were reported, but the fire caused extensive property damage. Officials confirmed that around 30 shops were affected. Deputy Minister of Public Security Sunil Watagala, who inspected the site yesterday, said a committee will be appointed to investigate the incident.
LimCon 2025, organised by the Sri Lankan Society of Lifestyle Medicine, concluded today.
LimCon 2025 is the signature academic conference organised by the Sri Lankan Society of Lifestyle Medicine. This two-day event brought together global and local experts to discuss innovative, evidence-based strategies in lifestyle medicine all in one place.
The lifestyle plans plays the fundamental and the foundational role in prevention of cardiovascular diseases. And Mediterranean style eating pattern is the most important thing, with protein in moderation, lots of fruits, vegetables, whole foods, active lifestyle, protect against coronary artery disease despite fat intake. That's important. So you can eat fat. And I call it new French paradox. The move more and sleep well, simple action with profound impact. And weight loss and metabolic health drive long-term cardiovascular risk reduction. And combining lifestyle changes with supportive systems, that's where you all are encouraged, we are all encouraging, delivers the strongest lasting results.
Topics such as integrating lifestyle medicine to healthcare, evolving exercise science, integrative nutrition and social solutions for health resilience were discussed at the conference.
The United Kingdom, Australia and Canada have formally recognized the state of Palestine as part of an effort to revive momentum for a two-state solution, according to a joint statement. In an official statement released, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said, quote, "Canada recognizes the state of Palestine and offers our partnership in building the promise of a peaceful future for both the state of Palestine and the state of Israel," unquote. The Prime Minister's office said, quote, "Over many decades, Canada's commitment to a two-state solution was premised on the expectation that this outcome would eventually be achieved as part of a negotiated settlement," unquote. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says that Australia has followed Canada's decision to recognize Palestine as a sovereign state. Prime Minister Albanese, together with Australia's Minister of Foreign Affairs Penny Wong, issued a joint statement that called the decision a part of a coordinated international effort alongside Canada and the United Kingdom to build new momentum for a two solution. Both Canada and Australia had previously set out their intentions to formally recognize Palestine state at the UN General Assembly in New York this week. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer also announced the UK's recognition of a Palestinian state. With the recognition of a Palestine as a state, the United Kingdom also pledged for a better future for both Israelis and Palestinians.
In the face of the growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and a two-state solution. That means a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state. At the moment, we have neither. The starvation and devastation are utterly intolerable. Tens of thousands have been killed, including thousands as they tried to collect food and water. This death and destruction horrifies all of us. We have evacuated the first group of sick and injured children to the United Kingdom to be treated by the NHS. And we continue to increase our humanitarian support. But still, nowhere near enough aid is getting through. We call again on the Israeli government to lift the unacceptable restrictions at the border, stop these cruel tactics, and let the aid surge in. The terms upon which we would act in line with our manifesto, to recognize Palestinian statehood. That moment has now arrived. So today, to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this great country, that the United Kingdom formally recognizes the state of Palestine.
There was cautious optimism at Palestinians' administrative capital Ramallah about the UK's recognition announcement. Police and protesters have engaged in scattered clashes as tens of thousands of people demonstrated in the Philippine capital Manila, angered over a corruption scandal involving flood control projects that are believed to have cost billions of dollars.
Thousands marched in Manila to vent their anger over a ballooning scandal involving bogus flood control projects believed to have cost taxpayers billions of dollars. Rage over the so-called ghost infrastructure projects has been mounting in the Southeast Asian country since President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. put them center stage in a July State of the Nation address that followed weeks of deadly flooding. Marcos said last week that he did not blame people for protesting one bit, while calling for demonstrations to remain peaceful. Sunday's protests were largely peaceful, with small groups of mostly young men throwing rocks and bottles at police and setting fire to the tires of a trailer used as a barricade near a bridge leading to the presidential palace. With organizers hoping to draw one of the largest turnouts at anti-corruption protests, police and soldiers were put on alert on Sunday to prevent a possible outbreaks of violence. At least 17 people who threw rocks at riot police and set fire to the tires of a barricade were arrested. Less than an hour later, police used a water cannon on another group of masked protesters. The Department of Finance has estimated that the Philippine economy lost up to 118.5 billion pesos from 2023 to 2025 due to corruption in flood control projects.
The White House clarified that the new $100,000 fee for H-1B visas in the United States will apply only to new petitions and not to existing H-1B visa holders in U.S. re-entering the country. The changes came into effect early this morning.
U.S. President Donald Trump signed a proclamation on Saturday introducing the $100,000 H-1B visa fee, sparking confusion and concern among visa holders, including Indians who make up over 70% of the total. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick had at that time indicated that the fee might be charged annually, noting that the details were still being considered. However, the White House statement later in the day marked correction of that claim. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said in a post on X, quote, "This is not an annual fee. It is a one-time fee that applies only to the petition," end quote. Leavitt stressed that current H-1B visa holders outside the U.S. would not be charged the $100,000 H-1B visa fee when re-entering. She added, quote, "H-1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country as they normally would, and the new fee will only apply in the next H-1B lottery round and not to current visa holders or renewals," end quote. A White House fact sheet stated that the government may allow an H-1B visa application without the $100,000 fee if in the national interest. Meanwhile, the Indian government yesterday expressed humanitarian concern that the Trump administration's move would sharply increase the cost of visas, bringing tech workers from India and other countries to the United States.
U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened Afghanistan with unspecified consequences unless it gives back control of the Bagram Air Base to Washington.
The vague threat by President Trump yesterday came a day after the Taliban-controlled government rejected Trump's call to return the sprawling airbase located some 64 kilometers from the Afghan capital, Kabul. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform, Quote, if Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Air Base back to those that built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen, end quote. Bagram, a sprawling complex, was the main base for US forces in Afghanistan during the 2 decades of war that followed the 11th of September 2001 attacks in New York and Washington by Al-Qaeda. Thousands of people were imprisoned at the site for years without charge or trial by US forces during its so-called War on Terror, and many of them were abused or tortured. The Taliban retook the facility in 2021 following the US withdrawal and the collapse of the Afghan government. Trump had often lamented the loss of access to Bagram, noting its proximity to China, but his comments on Thursday during a visit to the United Kingdom were the first time he had made public that he was working on the matter. Trump has reportedly criticized the loss of the base since returning to power, linking it to his attacks on his predecessor, Joe Biden's handling of the US pullout from Afghanistan. Trump has also complained about China's growing influence in Afghanistan. The Taliban government today, however, rejected US President Donald Trump's bid to retake Bagram Air Base. The chief Taliban spokesman, Zabihullah Mujahid, rejected Trump's assertions and urged the US to adopt a policy of realism and rationality. Mujahid posted on X, quote, Afghanistan had an economy-oriented foreign policy and sought constructive relations with all states on the basis of mutual and shared interests, end quote. He added, quote, it had been consistently communicated to the US in all bilateral negotiations that Afghanistan's independence and territorial integrity were of the utmost importance, end quote. In August last year, the Taliban celebrated the 3rd anniversary of their takeover at Bagram with a grand military display of abandoned US hardware, catching the eye of the White House.
India is taking on Pakistan in the Super 4s of the 2025 Asia Cup T20. All matches of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament can be watched on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder, and streamed via the www.sirisatv.lk. Meanwhile, Dasun Shanaka says that Sri Lanka still has a chance to enter the final of this year's Asia Cup. He said that if they win the remaining 2 matches while maintaining a high net run rate, they will have that opportunity. He made these remarks while speaking at the media briefing held after the Super 4 match against Bangladesh. The final rites of the father of Sri Lankan cricketer Dunith Wellalage were observed today.
Suranga Wellalage, the father of Sri Lankan cricketer Dunith Wellalage, passed away last Thursday night due to a heart attack. He was 51 years old at the time of his demise. He was a former cricketer as well as the former captain of the Prince of Wales College Moratuwa cricket team. The mortal remains of the late Suranga Wellalage was brought from a private funeral parlour in Mount Lavinia, where it was kept for public respect, to the Prince of Wales College Moratuwa, where he had studied and played sports before being cremated at the Rawatawata Public Cemetery in Moratuwa.
There are countless places in our beautiful island that bring peace to your heart. That's the magic of Sri Lanka. Today on Beautiful Sri Lanka, we take you to yet another breathtaking destination.
Beautiful Sri Lanka.
Kadiyanlena Falls, nature's hidden gem in Nuwara. Tucked away in the scenic hills of the Nuwara district, Kadiyanlena Falls, also known as Katabula Falls, is one of Sri Lanka's most enchanting natural wonders. Just 10 kilometers from Navalapitiya, along the Navalapitiya-Talavakkale road, this 82-foot high waterfall is a sight to behold, a graceful cascade that draws travelers and nature lovers alike. Fed by the crystal clear waters, of the Kadiyanlena Oya, which originates from the lush catchment areas of Lindula and Kotagala. This waterfall is surrounded by vibrant greenery and peaceful landscapes that take you to another world. The serenity, sound of rushing water, untouched beauty. Kadiyanlena Falls isn't just a place, it's an experience. Whether you've seen it before and long to return, or you are yet to witness its charm, this is a must-visit destination, not just for locals but for foreign tourists looking to explore the true soul of beautiful Sri Lanka.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Do take care and good night.